Hey everyone, this is Keith Scott from out in Sydney, Australia. I'm one of the voices of Bullwinkle J. Moose. It's time to watch Relentless and Unstoppable. And so give it up for your main hosts, Douglas Kenny and Andy McPhee.
Hey everybody, this is Doug Kenny and welcome to Relentless and Unstoppable. We have another amazing guest coming on the channel today, so please hit like and subscribe. And after this episode, please stay tuned to the RNU channel for more amazing guests. Let's get this on!
Hey everybody, how you doing? Just a quick little share of why I started Relentless and Unstoppable. It was for one very simple reason, because of Doug Kenny. Nothing to do with me at all, zero. I was just coaching Doug, and he took on the coaching and mentoring, and he made all the changes. He took all the suggestions from his parents as well as my coaching, but it was all about Doug, his breakthrough and his weight loss, his willingness to accept that he is dealing with high functioning autism and other issues, but he's never quit, he's never given up. So we did one interview with him to share his story, and then we decided to start interviewing other people. And Doug has now taken over the whole channel, and he does all the interviews, he runs everything. He's just an amazing young man. So RNU was born from simply what an amazing young man Doug is, and his story needed to be shared.
Right? See what I'm saying? Because Roger Deakins loves wide lenses. He uses wide lenses on all his stuff. Steven Spielberg, do you think Steven Spielberg's not cinematic? Steven Spielberg loves wide lenses. He everything about him is composition. Composition is God with Steven Spielberg. And I'm right on the same page with that guy. I think that's, and so if you were to ask what I like, that's what I like. I when I finally did reindeer games with John, we basically didn't carry a lens longer than a 29 millimeter lens on the truck. There was no lens longer than a 29. That was our longest lens. I was shooting Charlize Theron's close-ups with a 29, but she looked gorgeous. And the thing is, of course, her face could handle it. I don't think you'd do it with somebody who had a very aquiline face, but she had sort of a rounder face, so it worked great. But we did that whole film, and our regular lens was something around a 21. We shot most of the scenes in a 21. I was shooting depth of field with 8.5 to 11, stops 8.5 and 11. I had so much light going on at the top of the ski mountain in Vancouver, in the middle of winter. I had 3 huge BB lights that I ended up melting all the snow on the top of the ski lift.
Oh, well.
So they had to bring in snowmaking machines because it melted all the snow. It was a big thing. Anyway, so you get the idea. So when I got hired to do, 6 Feet Under for HBO, I brought that as a look to that because when I read the pilot script, I said, "Oh my God, this is just screaming for this. Nobody's done this in television. We're going to do a whole new look for television with this. We're going to do wide lenses. We're going to do static shots. We're going to do these proceeding things with a lot of depth and a lot of interesting compositions and working foreground and background and just, do camera movements only mean something." And, so that's what we did. And that's what gave 6 Feet Under its distinct look. That plus I love mixing hard light, soft light, doing stuff like that. So a combination of all those things kind of gave a unique look that I'm known for especially in 6 Feet Under.
Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts, Alan? How can your journey impact the world?
Well, I don't know. Let's see what happens next. Otherwise, I've probably impacted it as much as I've done so far. So unless I get something more interesting to come along, I'll keep on impacting it the same way.
Sounds good. Just give our followers a bit of how you traveled to Malaysia before we close this out.
How I traveled to Malaysia?
Yeah, and Thailand and all that.
Well, I had I got hired to do this movie called Blackbeard, and I'd worked with the director 2 years before that on Frankenstein. We did a 4-hour miniseries on Frankenstein, and we did it as the book is done, which you start with Dr. Frankenstein chasing his monster up above the Arctic Circle, and he becomes Dr. Frankenstein collapses because of hypothermia, but he collapses near a ship that's ice locked. And so the captain, the crew, they bring him on board, and as Dr. Frankenstein's laying in the bed, and they're giving him warm liquids and stuff like that, trying to revive him, he ends up telling his story to the sea captain. That's how the book written. So it starts with that, and it goes all the way back to when Frankenstein was a kid, and tells the whole story all the way through him creating a monster and all that. So that was really successful. I actually even got nominated for an ASC award for that. And then 2 years later, this same director got hired to do Blackbeard, and they were going to shoot it in Thailand. But before we went there, I went up to just off of the coast of, I think it was close to the border of Washington and Oregon, I think. But we took advantage of this opportunity. They had the Black Pearl ship from
Pirates of the
Caribbean, and a couple of other ships, and they were doing this sort of like this road show where they were doing these mock battles, and they go into these different. They had a whole series of planned mock battles all the way down the west coast, and so they were starting up there, and so we got wind of that. So we asked if we could hire out the boats for 3 days to get some of our footage that we needed for the battle stuff, the ship to ship stuff. So we went up there and shot all this footage, and then we also got all the dimensions and the things for the Black Pearl, and then the production. And we had done some art direction on the Black. It wasn't plain as the Black Pearl for this traveling show either, because they didn't want to get into a copyright thing with the Black Pearl, because they were not representing Disney at all. They were their own thing, but they had use of the ship. So we also altered a lot of the other things to the ship so it could be our own. So the production designer in Thailand got all the specs, so she built a replica of that ship, of on the top deck and the gun deck below it, 110% scale. So it was actually larger than the ship, plus the mast and all that. And we built it in a parking lot, and we had a huge green screen / gray screen / black screen, 50 foot high, all the way around the ship, with about 20 feet out. Because we used the blue, I shouldn't say green screen, we used a blue screen for the ocean stuff, because we're going to put in the ocean later. And we used the black screen for night work on the deck, and then the gray screen for when we have the battles, because once the cannons start shooting, it all got grayed out anyway with all the smoke. So it worked perfect, because we had another sort of a piece of the edge of a ship that we could roll around to be like the other ship as it's coming in to fight. So we could do like when they swing across and board the ships and stuff like that, all the fighting. So that's how I got over there. And we had amazing locations. We had all this stuff. We went out, there was a lot of boat work and stuff out we shot out in the Gulf of Thailand. Like I said, we built a pirate village in the middle of the jungle. And then we converted where we built the ship in the parking lot. It was a manufacturing place that had gone belly up. So there was all these warehouses that were empty. So then we built all the sets in the warehouses. So that was the reason why we went there.
That's really impressive. And what was Malaysia like?
Well, Malaysia, I was in Kuala Lumpur. So Kuala Lumpur was just a massive city, beautiful people, and just great, rich culture. But I saw the countryside of Malaysia sort of indirectly. when we were shooting the jungle stuff up in Thailand, we were at the bottom part of Thailand, which is part of the Malay Peninsula. If you look at a map, you can see that Thailand stretches down along the Malay Peninsula, and it shares the peninsula. Thailand goes down about 1/3 of the way, and then it turns to all Malaysia. So I went with my family when they were visiting, and we took a weekend trip down Thailand all the way to the bottom, and it was basically the same as being in Malaysia. It was all the same thing. The cultures are very, very similar, even though the religions are different. Because most of Malaysia is Islamic, as opposed to Thailand, which is still very Buddhist.
Yeah, was it a lot of fun going there?
So much fun. I can't tell you how much fun I had. That was great. I was there for almost 8 months. It was like 8 months. That was just fantastic. Yeah. One of the great things about being in film business is you get to travel. When I did Frankenstein, we were in Slovakia for again, almost, we were there for about 6.5 months. And we were all over Slovakia. We were way far east, almost as far as the Ukraine. And then at the very end, when we shot all the stuff on the ice and things like that, we flew up and shot in Norway. So we were up on a glacier in Norway.
Oh, wow.
So how much fun is that, right?
Yeah,
Definitely.
that'd been fun. Yeah.
You have any final questions, Brendan?
Just I think I've one. What was your favorite film that you worked on? Like, probably all of them were pretty close.
I would say Frankenstein and Into the West, one of my two favorites. Yeah. Just because visually they were both so much fun and so challenging. Frankenstein was just, come on, a gothic period piece. How much better does it get than that? And of course, with Into the West was really some fantastic locations, opportunities to do some great lighting and stuff like that. The western part of we shot in New Mexico and in Calgary, so Alberta.
Yeah. Where can people find you, Alan?
They can find me on alancaso.com. They can also find me on IMDb.
Awesome.
They can find me in Savannah.
Nice. So everybody, we want to thank Alan for appearing on RNU, and let's have a moment of silence for Bob McGrath. Thank you much, and we'll see you next week for the next episode of RNU.